Now, academic and free speech campaigner Frank Furedi has said that Britain is being silenced on mass migration, with the public's concerns ignored.
And this has led Downing Street officials fearing the nation is fraying at the edges as the nation's fury with migration and asylum hotels on the small boats continues to grow.
We are now joined by the man himself, Frank Furedi. Frank, thank you very much for joining us today. Very, very powerful piece you have written for the newspapers today. Tell us more about why you think what you've written today.
So I've done a lot of interviews with people over the last 4 or 5 years on the question of their lives, on how they feel about society, about multiculturalism. And the one thing that comes up time and time again is a lot of people say that they simply cannot express their views because if they express the slightest concern about what happens to society because of mass migration, they will be denounced as racists. And the use of the word racist to basically characterize any form of anxiety about a world that has changed around you means that a lot of people would rather keep their opinions to themselves, or maybe talk to their best friends, or when they go down to the pub, they know their mates. And this has led to a situation where a lot of people have, in a sense, have become increasingly angry, but also frustrated, because they cannot really tell the world what they actually feel about what's happening around them. And I think that what is happening at the moment in a lot of communities in British society is it's almost as if people have suddenly come to the conclusion that now is the time when they can express their views. You know, a lot of people are saying enough is enough. And it's almost as if they've been given permission to say out loud what they've been feeling for a very, very long time.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today. Frank, do you think the word racist and the accusation of being racist, or you're a bigot, you're a racist, whatever, you're a xenophobe, do you think that means anything anymore? Don't you just think people who get that accusation levied at them should just, I don't know, not wear it with a badge of pride, but just say, okay, yeah, if you think that, fine. I think when you, correct me if I'm wrong, I think when you push back on that so much, because it isn't a nice thing to be called, because for most people, 99% of people, it's just not true. But do you not think people, especially from the right of centre, need to kind of change the way they react to that kind of barb?
I think we have to somehow become a bit more robust, stand up and express our views, and throw back in their faces the way they trivialize something that is actually a very bad thing, which is racism. And what they've done is they've normalized the idea that an average English person is racist. And that is tremendously harmful to society. So I think that we need to kind of push back. But at the same time, it's really, really important that we don't allow the charge of racism to to be just said so casually. And I think particularly it's important for children, for our children to understand that if they are worried about what's happening about their world, they got every right to express their views. Because if the young kids learn to shut up and not say what they believe in, they're going to become highly infantilized, and they become unable to be genuinely independent.
Frank, I mean, we wanted to talk to you because, as you say in this piece, you know, you've lived a long time. You lived in Eastern Europe before the fall of the Iron Curtain as well, and the rest. And you say you recognise the signs that serious social unrest is in the air, and all it would take is one spark, an online rumour, a viral video clip, perhaps one comment on social media, and you call Britain a tinderbox waiting to go up in flames. Do you still think that's accurate?
I think so. I hope I'm proven wrong, because the last thing you want is an explosion, riots, or anything of that sort. But I think that there's a very profound sense of mistrust, and there's a lack of empathy between different communities, to the point at which it's very, very easy to misinterpret what people say to you. Very often you can say something and it will be called racist, or you can say something and people think that you're being aggressive, whereas all you're doing is basically stating a fact. So when you have such a high level of suspicion and mistrust, where people basically lack that capacity for solidarity, which is what every single community needs, then it's got all the makings of a social explosion. And that's really what I worry about, because it's not something that's being recognized. And insofar as people recognize that there's a problem, there tends to be a reaction to ignore it altogether or to deflect it. So what the government does is it basically uses the standard excuse, oh, it's only a handful of far-right people who think like that. Most people aren't at all like that. And they overlook the fact that actually, most people in this world of ours in England are genuinely concerned. There's a kind of silent sense of insecurity, which is part and parcel of their lives. And that's something that can very easily lead to some kind of social explosion.
Frank, you've written in the Daily Mail about how we got to this point, some context and background, and you said that the country has long been deliberately undermined by our political leaders and the state itself. And you quote the most senior civil servant in the country under 3 prime ministers between 2005 and 2011. Gus O'Donnell is his name. He once boasted, and I quote, "At the Treasury, I argued for the most open door possible to immigration. I think it's my job to maximise global welfare, not national welfare." What does that tell us?
It basically means that as far as O'Donnell is concerned, the British nation comes second to every other concern. So he is concerned about global solidarity, and he's quite indifferent to the consequence of that for British society. And in a sense, what we see has happened since 2004 is a systematic attempt to re-engineer British society. So it's no longer based on its traditional values, but upon a more multicultural set of outlooks, which is totally different to what it used to be. And what that means is that British society gradually becomes something that is very alien, very, very, very different to what existed before. And people have never been consulted about it. I cite a Home Office document which makes the point very, very clearly that their job is to promote the idea of a mass migration-led society as being more positive than what existed beforehand. And that's the key point here. If you're told time and time again that a society of immigrants is superior to a society that existed before, what you really are doing is telling British people that their culture is inferior to this new, very modern, multicultural one.